In this video, I'll show you how I built an AI agent that chats directly with my database and generates dynamic reports, complete with sorting, filtering, and interactive graphs. These reports update automatically with fresh data and can be shared with anyone, making it easier to collaborate. With a built-in code interpreter, the agent can also handle complex analysis and produce custom visualization. If you want a simpler way to analyze your data for your business, you can create a whole list of these reports to keep everything organized in one place. Let's get started. But before we continue, please subscribe and like this video. It helps us to generate more cool guides like this one. Let's get started. Everything starts with data. So I've created this table with demo sales where I specified like price, region, product name, category, revenue, and some other data. Let's start with our simple flow with AI agent where we talk with the AI agent and triggering some tools. So if you ever seen our videos, then you are used to see this structure. If not, please check our simplest AI agent for talk with the database. And we have two inputs actually. This one is for low-level triggering and another one chatting with data in any attempt. So as input, we always specify these variables like external ID and message, not external ID, but usually it's like session ID. Yeah, but here it's like external ID. Then we trying to find the profile in the database with external ID because it might use like some data from webhook or some session ID from the chat. And if it not exists, if the profile wasn't found, we create a thread because we using again OpenAI message assistant with a thread memory. Yeah, this one here. And we creating profile. If it not exists, save in OpenAI thread and external ID. And we store it here in the Supabase. You see like external ID, OpenAI thread. Then we merge this data because if the profile was found, we have a data about file here. If it wasn't found, we will have the same data about profile. So at the end, we always have this data structure, external ID, OpenAI thread. And then we map thread ID from this merge files node. You can see it here. And message we map from the previous merge inputs node. Again, because we might have message from webhook or from chat. Yeah, then we trigger different tools. Like these two tools was in the original database agent where it can get data table definition. Yeah, first of all, it will try to get database schema, for example, to understand what kind of tables we have in our database. And then it can get some table data to identify all columns and fields and the types that exist in this table. And we also added actually three new tools. No, actually two. One of them is generating SQL query that was in the original video where we ask to generate SQL query and we will just run this query, get some data and return back to our AI agent. Right now, we don't want to return this data because we want to analyze it. And actually, this agent is focused more on analyzing big amount of data. So I don't want to show this data to AI agent because this way you will spend a lot of tokens, first of all. The second thing that you can retrieve too much data that will face with the limit of window for AI agent. And simply AI agent don't need to see your data to analyze it. It needs to send to special OpenAI code interpreter where it will be analyzed technically. For these purposes, we have these two new tools where we analyze it with the code interpreter and where we can generate some graph template. Also here in the generate SQL query, we also saving this SQL query and generate some analysis. At the end, when we will check how these tools work, you will understand it more. And then we just get generated analysis. If something was generated on this step, then we will get it here and we will send the exact generated report, or we will send a list of all reports using these links. Yeah, I will show it later how it works. Yeah, basically that's all for this flow. We have some data here and we also can check how it worked here. And also don't forget that always you can get all data about retrieving all tools in these logs and understand what kind of inputs was created by AI agent and what kind of data it it return to debug this flow. Let's go to our tools. So we keep tools in the separate flow, this one. So all three tools like graph, data, and analysis lives here. For example, let's check what we have for generating SQL query. We specified some prompt here. We always provide example of the query, like what actually AI should fill here. Generate a SQL query and short name for the query. So we provide here JSON schema. Yeah, and we specify comment, it's data. So every time we trigger this scenario and we have a comment equals data, this one, we go this way. Here we will use generated SQL query. Yeah, so AI provided us SQL query and we will try to trigger it. If we will get some error, then we simply can respond with the error to AI agent. So this main agent will know that some error was in their SQL query and it may try to change it based on the error details. If it was successfully queried, the data, we need to aggregate it because usually you will get multiple items there. And then we create an analysis record. In analysis record, we save it with a name that again OpenAI agent provided us. It's here, short name and SQL query. And we save in the SQL query itself. We store execution ID. Also, we send it with our query for the tool. And we save the profile ID also and data itself. Actually, it's deprecated stuff. So you have two ways to store data and actually use it in our reports here. Yeah, you can store data itself. So this way you will store it as a JSON file. And if you have query that trigger a lot of data, just save a lot of data that already exists in a database, again in your database, and it's not really a good approach. But in case you need to freeze the state of this data, for example, in some moment in time, and then every time you open this report, you will see the saved data. Otherwise, how we do it right now, we save in SQL query itself. So every time we open in this table, we run this SQL query and get the fresh data. So this data is fresh and we don't store any data, we don't overload our database. Yeah, so this step is optional, actually it's deprecated in our case. And then we respond that everything analysis was created, we provide analysis ID. And why we was needed to store execution here, for example, because we get the response from our tool, AI agent processed it, and then we check if there is some analysis that was generated. Because we can't map data from the tools, for example, this tool return us response and it return us, for example, URL, and it could return, for example, ID of analysis here, yeah? But we can't map this data actually, yeah? You can only main output of AI agent. And also we can ask AI agent, for example, to return us analysis ID if it was created in one of their tools, but it's also not stable because it just again overload AI agent with some additional steps. So we simply, because we have execution ID, it's always the same here, and we send this execution ID in our tool here, we can try to find if some analysis was generated during AI agent actions. And we're trying to use execution ID, and if it was generated, then we will get this link to generated report. So this link is for exact report, this one. Otherwise, if it not exists, we always send in a link to all reports. So you don't need to trying to find this link somewhere or save it. You always have it here. And from this list of analysis dashboard, you can open needed report, because right now it's only one report, but you may have multiple of them, and you can open needed by clicking this table. Or you can open graph, for example, yeah, if there's any graph saved for this report. Or you can again export data as a CSV file, yeah, and use it however you want. Also, you can copy URL and share it with someone else. So this is for SQL generation tool. What else we have? In our HTML, we have a graph.js that requires different options, actually settings, yeah, like aggregation, grouping, x-axis, y-axis, data. And we can build own graphs using data from the table by ourselves, or we can ask AI to generate a required list of options, actually just a JSON object with all these settings, and it will save it as settings for chart templates, and then it will be displayed here. So you can click to the save template and you will get it. So this template was generated by AI. And how it works actually. So we ask AI here in our description for this tool, generate JSON with params for chart.js. Yeah, no, not graph.js, but chart.js. And we describing that title and labels are strings for displaying, so you can provide there any data you like. Then axes and group by should be names of columns, so you can't change it, you can't get it somewhere else, you need to get it from the data set. And then aggregation and group by enum values, so AI have to choose one of the enum values. We provide input example, we provide output example, and yeah, we have a JSON schema. And for example, where we have a enum list, it's a chart type or it's an aggregation, we have this enum list that AI can choose from. So we have a stable results usually. We send in all these data to our tool workflow. We're trying to find analysis by provided analysis ID. It's like sort of metadata. It's comment graph, and we also provide analysis ID here. Yeah, so it's string. So this is the place where AI should first of all generate SQL query, get analysis ID first, and then it can provide it here in this JSON request. And then we use it to find analysis, and then we simply need to update this template because we store this data here in analysis table in the Supabase. And so we have a data here, for example, yeah, it's deprecated actually. And for templates, we have an array of templates with the settings. So it's array, and we need to add templates. So we don't want to replace existing templates because you may ask for many times, for example, we've created one graph, now please add another template. And you can ask AI and it should add to existing tables, not overwrite it. For these purposes, we need to use PostgreSQL node because only this node can manage JSON updates. You can't do that with Supabase, actually, yeah, because it's simple values that always be recognized as an object or something else, and yeah, it's difficult to manage it there. So basically, we just get what was generated as input, and the input looks like that. Yeah, analysis ID and template, it's JSON, and we need to just transform it to the right SQL query, and it looks like that. Yeah, and then we just save it. That's simple. So we can have it here. You can't delete it, you can't update it right now, but yeah, you can extend functionality of this template however you want because it's just pure HTML. And right now, like soon I will show you how it works inside HTML itself. So the last tool for analysis, I do triggering OpenAI code interpreter. This is what I did for Airtable agent. AI is not really good in math, doing different calculations. So it's better to always provide, like send this data that you want to be calculated to code interpreter, where AI use input data and write code. So in the code, there's no place for mistakes. This way you can analyze your data, do different Python methods and complex analysis, and generate graphs also that are not be possible to make here. Yeah, like different average, for example, moving averages, any type of charts that not possible to show it here. And how it works, I've already showed it in the Airtable AI agent guide. We need to provide again SQL query to retrieve this data, because to process this data, we need to provide this data. To get this data, we need to retrieve this data, because we don't want to transfer the whole data set to AI agent. We ask again to generate SQL query that will retrieve all needed data and send to AI, like code interpreter. That's why we asking again SQL query and description of operation to perform. So basically this AI agent should create a query to retrieve another AI agent. Yeah, so we send in all this data here. First of all, we run in SQL query. Again, the same step that we have in this tool. Again, we link it to error. If there's some error, we return back to AI agent and it will change the SQL query. Otherwise, we aggregate it. Then this one is a custom alternative of OpenAI message assistant. But because we can't specify in OpenAI message assistant what tools tools we want to use. Yeah, there's no options. Yeah, but there exist in OpenAI API. We use custom nodes. So to do that, basically all these 4 nodes in this one node. We create thread. Yeah, we have a thread ID as the same as we did for our main workflow here, because we need to talk to AI assistant, because only assistant can use code interpreter, or maybe not. Actually, maybe you can do it with chat completions. I'm not sure. Yeah. Anyway, we create a thread, and then we send in the message. Yeah, we send our data. As you can see, we send the full data set. And again, it's a weak place, because if you have like really big data set, then you might have a problem with analyzing it. Anyway, we send it directly to code interpreter, and we just send it to thread, and we run assistant, where we force this assistant that we provided here. Don't forget to change this ID of assistant. We ask to use code interpreter tool, so we force it, and we also provide instructions. Yeah, so generate graphs in PNG format, because sometimes it generate graphs in bean format. I don't know why. Yeah, and we simply use query to process this data. Yeah, and I forgot to show you how it looks like for sending messages. Yeah, so we have a request that AI agent generated, and we have a retrieve JSON data. And don't forget to stringify your data, because as you can see here, it's a text. If you will provide this data like that without stringifying, then it will be object, and you can't send object itself. You need to convert it to text to send it to OpenAI. Yeah, so after that, we like assistant is running, we have a stream of actions of the assistant, and when it will be done, we will be able to get a list of generated messages. Here, for example, we asked to generate moving average calculation based on this data, calculated it, and return us this data without any images actually. And it's fine, because not always we need to generate image. So if there is no image, and there usually lives in like file ID or image file ID in the content, if there's no any file or image, we simply send text, like output of OpenAI. Otherwise, we need to download this file. We use this mapping, we use file ID. There's 2 ways how OpenAI can attach file to the message. I don't know why they have it like that. Yeah, we cover both of them. And then we use upload file to temporary files website. You can replace it with your, I don't know, Supabase storage or any other storage like Amazon storage, where if you need to store these images and have access it to them in the future, because this tool is for temporary storing files for, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 hours, and after that your image will be expired and you won't be able to see it in the chat. Yeah, and then we again return like URL of this image, and then agent will send us this image. As you can see, this is generated image. We have a link to that. Usually, I don't know why wrapped with text, but usually N10 can show you image right here. But anyway, this image was expired, and right now it's not found, but it exists. Yeah, so this is what we have around AI agent itself. But how these wrappers works actually? Because as you can see, it's simple webhook request, and it shows us HTML page, how it works. Yeah, let's check. For that, we built this workflow. In this workflow, as input, we may have only queries, because when you do HTTP requests, for example, to any webhook, you can provide body, you can provide some JSON data there, you can change HTTP method to post, but to open link simply in the browser, how we do that, yeah, this one. When you open it, any website, you do GET request. It always GET request. And with the GET request, if you want to provide some data, you can do it with the query parameters, and you can see them here. So you need to design, then you need to provide the key over the first query parameter, then you provide the value, this sign, and then you have ampersand, then you provide another key and value. Yeah, this is how it works. And all these data you will have here in the query of webhook out, and we use it to identify if it's a main or if it's not a main page. So why we need to identify that? Because on the main page we need to display only a list of analysis. If it's specified analysis ID, then we need to get like retrieve data related to this analysis and display another data, like another HTML. So if it's a main, we try to find all analysis, and also we provide profile ID. So the query parameters will be different for analysis. We have here analysis ID and type graph, data, or table. And for list of all analysis, we use profile ID. And this profile ID, it's actually this ID. Yeah, you can see that. So every time we need to retrieve list of analysis, we use profile ID to find all records linked to this analysis. You can see the relationship here. Yeah, and we have a list of analysis, we aggregate it, then we set some variables that will be used further in HTML. Actually, it's just analysis list. For single analysis, we need to find this single analysis, so we use analysis ID. Then we run SQL query that's saved in our database to retrieve the data. Yeah, you can see this one. We retrieve this data and then we aggregate it. Then again, we set some variables like analysis data. Then we merge it and we switched based on the type. Yeah, file type, graph, table, main. So for the file, we simply need to split out analysis data and convert it to file. So we will have a list of records as an array. Then this array will be split out to get actually a list of data, like a list of JSON objects that will be again aggregated to CSV file. And when file generated, we use separate respond to webhook node because here we need to respond with binary file. And for all other types of data, we simply respond with the text. So for graph, we need to get data. We set data and templates data. These data will be taken like templates we will take from this analysis record. Analysis data will be taken from the merge node. Either it will be find analysis or it will be from there. Like SQL query will be transformed to this data in the merge node. And then we have this HTML. So how it works. Every time you go to some website, it may respond you with different types of data. And in our case, we respond you with HTML. So we specify this HTML here. You can see like settings, we have some function that actually create this graph. Yeah, let me show more graph. So this is dynamic graph. It's not an image, how code interpreter to generating, for example, for you. It's dynamic graph made with chart.js data, based on data that we retrieve from SQL database and based on the template settings. So to have such graph, we need to specify this HTML. I generated this HTML with Claude. Yeah, it took some time, but it works well. It uses some JS scripts. Actually, I don't know how it works. I just asked Claude. And what I know that we have to specify input data here. It's pure JS. As you can see, we specify data, we specify templates. And after that, it just transforms into data that chart.js library uses to show you this chart. And we simply, if it's successfully done, then we simply show it to you. If we have some errors, then we can send you here error status. It's again a separate HTML page where you will just have a bunch of strings that error occurred and so on. So the same flow we have for the main list and for the main dashboard. Again, we have data, we have templates, and then this HTML much more bigger, as you can see, because we have a lot of functions in the main dashboard. What kind of functions I ask to add? First of all, it's sorting. Second one is pagination. Then we can search, and actually we search through all data records, I think so, through all values in the records. And works really fast, and I like how it works, like 21, yeah. And you can search through different columns. For example, 21 not exist and 21 here. We can export to CSV here, and again we can play with our graphs. For example, I want to show it how, like a bar chart. Or I can change the aggregation. And for the main list, we simply have a list of analysis records with the name of analysis, date of creation, and these buttons that I've already described. And basically that's all. Yeah, you can add any additional functionality here. For example, you can add dynamic buttons to create new chart templates or delete some of them. You can add some data manually here, for example, or I don't know, change and run different SQL queries without asking AI agent. Or I don't know, you can even embed AI agent right here in this web page. Just embed your AI agent. Yeah, you can do it like any chat could be embedded, like make chat publicly available, copy this link, ask AI to change the code for this HTML page, and you will hear this agent right here, and you could ask, for example, create new template and see how it works, and ask to change query, for example, because it has access to all data in your database. Yeah, so if you want to see this kind of solution, if you want to copy all these workflows and make improvements to these solutions, feel free to join our community in the school. We have a lot of different guides. You can see them. We have templates. This one, we don't have a template in our free community, but we will have it in our paid community, where we also have different case studies. We also have different tools. For example, we have a tool that is actually wonderful chat for your AI agents like that. So you could talk with this agent, not here in this crappy chat where it is in the N10 usually, yeah, this one, but in a wonderful chat like this one. Yeah, so we'll be glad to see you in our community. Please subscribe, like this video, leave your comments what you want to improve in our videos and our guides. Yeah, and have a good day. Bye.